Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322. Now the Powersurge was made available today and I wanted to give some info about it that might be helpful in your buying decisions. This video is brought to you by my social media. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram or Facebook via the link in the description to make sure that you're always up to date and get extra content. So first of all, if you buy the Powersurge today, keep in mind that the bodywork modification adds traction like a spoiler, and because it's electric there's no transmission or turbo modifications, only brakes and engine and the bodywork that you have to worry about in terms of things that are going to add performance. Now I can't test it because the snow is still there, which is actually, I quite like the snow, so I'm quite happy that it's going to be here for another week, not that I'm going to be able to enjoy it for reasons I'll talk about later in the video. But yeah, that means that I can't test it for top speed, I can't test it for lap time, at least officially anyway. But the Powersurge has become the vehicle with the most powerful engine in the game, taking the top spot away from the BR8. But as with all high engine power vehicles, it also has a high drag value. Now to keep it really simple, the higher the engine power, the faster you go, but the higher the drag, the slower you go. That's why you've got the Pariah and the Weevil Custom getting much higher top speeds than all of the cars above them in the engine power list, because their drag value is so low in comparison to those other cars, despite having lower but still impressive enough to make the top 10 list engine power values. It's also why the Outlaw, which has the 10th highest engine power in the game, is so slow for top speed because it has the highest drag value of any vehicle in the top 10. So the Powersurge is going to be quick, but the drag value will keep it in check. Now I have managed to do some early testing just to give some sort of indication of performance so that you can, make an informed buying decision. But obviously it's not accurate because I'm testing it in the snow, and keep in mind that top speeds, especially in the rain and the snow, are actually a little bit higher than normal. So also obviously I can't test it for lap time because the grip levels are just completely different. But it's looking like the Powersurge is going to be able to get close to 140 miles per hour for its top speed when leaning forward, which is pretty impressive. However, it also does the same thing that the Reaver does, where the back end of the bike constantly boosts itself when wheeling. The Faggio also does that as well. It doesn't seem to do too much extra to it though, at least in comparison to, the Reaver, which gets a massive speed boost from that. It tops out in the mid sort of 150 mile per hour range in that situation when you're wheeling with it, which is still slower than the HSW Hakucho drag, which can reach higher top speeds but when leaning forward, so you've got more control. But for those on old gen or PC that don't have the HSW upgrades, this bike is basically giving you HSW levels of top speed, just kind of like the Reaver does because of this back wheel bug. It's also just generally pretty quick in a straight line, but obviously it can't really hold a candle to the HSW Hakucho drag because that's an HSW car. In terms of acceleration, it's an electric bike, so it's going to be pretty good, but again, it's not on the same level as another HSW car, the Cyclone 2. It would probably have a good fight for second place after the Cyclone 2 among other vehicles that we found to be the best at accelerating in that acceleration test video that we did, which I'll link in the description for a proper rundown of all the best accelerating vehicles in the game. But, it's still pretty quick. To be not too far away from the Cyclone 2, that's pretty impressive. But again, the snow is changing that a little bit, and the HSW Cyclone 2 is pretty much unbeatable in terms of raw acceleration. In terms of traction as well, I don't think it's going to be on the pace of the HSW Hakucho drag when it comes to lap time. Again, I can't test it because in the snow, you're going to go much slower lap times because the grip is just so much worse. But when I do get to test it, it might be competitive with the top non-HSW bikes like the Shotaro and the regular Hakucho drag. We'll have to see when I'm able to test it, but the traction seems okay enough, and that top speed and the fact that it's an electric bike is really going to help it around the lap. I'm not sure it's going to be quite on the pace of the HSW Hakucho drag for races. Speaking of when I'm able to test things, I'm actually going to be away next week for a short trip to New York for the first time ever. So I won't be able to test whatever releases next week, if they do release something next week and they don't stick to doing it every 2 weeks, which would be really annoying. But the car that's going to be released next is likely to either be the Broadway or the Issy Rally, based on the order that we have, and the order that they're going to be released on the website and what's been released so far. So there actually won't be any videos at all next week, but rest assured everything will return to normal in the second week of January. And what I'm planning to do is release a single testing video with all the lap times and top speeds of any vehicle up to that point that still needs to be tested. So you'll have it all the information, and you'll all be up to date with one video basically. And so I just wanted to make sure that you were all aware of that for the end of this video, because you're not going to see any videos next week. And if I didn't mention it, people would be asking where the videos are. So at least you know about that now. And if anyone asks in the comments of some of the other videos, you can tell them where I'm at. But as always, thanks everyone for all of your kind support during what was a busy December and indeed a busy 2022. I'm looking forward to ending the year in style with the Snowfreds video tomorrow and the final random all race of the year on Saturday, which is a really good one as well to finish the year on. And then we'll kick off 2023 properly when I get back. And as a reminder, I'll link that acceleration testing video down below for those who haven't seen it already. It ended up being a pretty decent video, I think, and we really sort of got down to what were the fastest accelerating vehicles in the game. So do check it out if you haven't seen it so far. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thank you for an amazing 2022, and I'll see you all when I get back.